It's Amanchu. Welcome back to Divergence SMP. Hey, look! I got my original skin back! I'm very happy about that. Last time I made an iron farm, and in the process, well, a trading hall, although it's not the greatest trading hall. It's not something I really want to focus on getting built up, because Diggin' Truths is working on a good trading hall at World Spawn, and I definitely want to make use of that. She has some librarians with some cool trades already that she's already zombified and cured, and there's going to be other villagers in there as well. But what I really need right now is something that I can trade with the villagers for emeralds and experience, besides iron. And yeah, I got a lot of iron, but there's other uses for iron that are better. So I want to make a pumpkin and melon farm. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to make an automatic pumpkin and melon farm that should give me lots of pumpkins and melons that I can trade with farmers for all the money. I'm going to build it underneath Diggin's trading hall. And maybe I'll build one for myself at my own base. This is cool. All of these librarians that are selling stuff, and they've been zombified and cured. Now, if it were me, I wouldn't give them beds. I think that's more humanity than they deserve. But to each their own. Diggin made a staircase down to where she wants the farm, but I have to figure out where to have the fruit to come out. The cropland that this farm is going to be on, I plan to have it 8 blocks wide and 27 blocks long. But I'm going to need some extra room around the borders, so I figure I need a 10 by 30 space, and I need about 5 blocks of height. But as I'm digging out underneath the trade hall, I see that the flooring is mostly top half slabs with torches underneath to provide some lighting that passes up through the slabs. In Bedrock Edition, light passes through slabs. So you can light up the area subtly without the lighting being visible. Carving out this area under the farm, I'm going to end up disrupting some of that lighting from underneath. So I actually dig out, although I only need 5 blocks height technically, more like 7 or 8 blocks tall of an area, just so that I know I have enough head clearance to work with, and I can at the end put in lighting at the top of my farm, which will be right below the floor and still provide lighting up through the floor. There, I think the hole is done. Next, I'm placing stairs around the outside edge of where the farm is going to be. I'm going to waterlog those stairs so that I can make sure the cropland is going to be hydrated. I'm not sure how essential that is, because I'm just going to use bone meal on the stalks to get them all to full maturity anyway, and I don't know if it affects how fast a fully matured pumpkin or melon stalk produces pumpkins or melons, whether or not the cropland is hydrated. It may not matter, but I think it's just a good general practice. If I was doing this in Java Edition, I would use probably leaf blocks, because you can waterlog a leaf block and it won't leak water all over the place. It doesn't work like that in Bedrock Edition, so I'm using stairs and having blocks surrounding the 3 sides that water could leak out of it to contain the water. I'm going to have a hopper minecart for a collection system running on rails underneath the farm. To power the powered rail, I'm going to just use levers powering some blocks right in the middle of the farm. I used to just use redstone blocks to power the powered rail, but that's kind of wasteful. Here I'm going to use polished granite so that I know which blocks I want to have the levers on to power, and I know that those are the blocks that are powered when I lay down the powered rail. I'm counting carefully to make sure that where the rails turn on each end, they're going 1 block over the edge of the cropland, because if they don't go 1 block over the edge of the cropland, they might miss some of the fruit that ends up right on the edge of the farm. It takes a little trial and error for me to remember how to do the unloader, because the version I make in Java Edition and the version I make in Bedrock Edition seems to work a little differently. I can't use the same version for both. I've heard people swear that you can use the same method for unloading on both, but that's not been my experience. But anyway, this is Bedrock Edition realm, and this unloader system works. This is the part of the build where I get fancy and try to do something far more complicated than necessary to move all of the fruit from the farm up a bubble column to a storage area up in the main trading hall. And it brings up an interesting parity difference between Bedrock and Java. You can't place kelp on soul sand. So I have to place kelp on a different block and then replace that block with soul sand after I've turned all of the flowing water into water sources with kelp. Sorting out that collection system took me at least an hour to work out, but once it was done, the rest is pretty straightforward. I've done this farm many times before. I'm using 108 pistons and 108 observers in this farm, which is a healthy amount of material. Now, I had more than enough quartz to make all the observers, more than enough iron to make all the pistons because I have an iron farm already. The redstone I kind of ran short of by the end, and cobblestone I did not have anywhere near enough cobblestone for this build. Each piston requires 4 cobblestone, each observer requires 6 cobblestone. But I made a call out to some of the other Divergents who came through for me with a bunch of cobblestone, and at the last minute when I ran out of redstone, Baddrabbit came through with a couple more stacks of that, allowing me to finish this farm. Maybe a little over budget, but at least on schedule. I'm alternating rows of pumpkins and melons, and then put observers facing into each plant. Then I have to put redstone on top of each observer. This is the part where I ran out of redstone and had to ask Baddrabbit to spare me a couple stacks of it so that I could finish this part. And then I have to put solid blocks on top of all the pistons. Now, in Java Edition, you don't have to put the blocks on top of the pistons, but the last time I built this farm in Java Edition, I did that anyway, just out of habit. Using bone meal to grow all the stalks to full maturity isn't necessary, but it would take a lot longer to get the farm fully working if you don't do that first. And I had the bone meal to spare, so I think that as well. It's also important that the whole thing be lit fairly well. Plants need a light level of 9 to grow. I'm assuming they also need that light level in order to grow a pumpkin or melon from the stalk, although I'm not positive of that. Better safe than sorry. I put jack-o'-lanterns around the outside of the farm every 3rd block, so I was sure that the entire farm was well lit enough. Now you shall witness the firepower of a fully armed and operational fruit farm. And the fruit farm is complete. It took me about 3 hours to finish this. The main thing that I struggled with was figuring out the redstone to get the fruit into this set of chests here. So I have pumpkins on this side, melon slices on this side. And I can explain this kind of in reverse order. I have bubble columns up behind these hoppers that shoot up the fruit into that chain of hoppers into the chests. A quick look down here. So I have a dropper feeding into this bubble column and then a dropper feeding into this bubble column. This part took me a little while to figure out. As long as there are items in the dropper, this is going to continually pulse. You have a comparator here that puts out a signal based on how full this container is. So if there's items in the dropper, it's going to put out a weak signal. It's amplified by the repeater and then fed back into the side of the comparator, which causes the output of the comparator to turn off. Then the repeater turns off, the signal is no longer coming to the side, it turns back on again. So it just keeps pulsing until the dropper is empty. Now, it took me a little while to figure out how to get the signal to this pulsing signal to activate the hopper over and over again, because I can't just run the redstone over this block here. But by using a target block, it redirects the redstone into that target block. I have this unloader here, and again, when there's items in this hopper right underneath the hopper minecart, that activates the comparator, which shuts off power to this powered rail and stops the hopper minecart until that hopper's empty. I also have this little circuit here with a comparator, which slowed down the items passing through this hopper, and that means that this item filter that I have here, and it's kind of hard to see stuff, but it's not going to miss any of the melon slices that go through. But now that's all done, and it shouldn't require going in there for maintenance at all. It should be fine where it is. The only problem I have with this setup is something I'm going to need to fix. I think I want to fix that right away. Sometimes items going up through this bubble column will fall out of the bubble column and into the space where these hoppers are without getting picked up by the hoppers. They'll just linger in that space. And I believe I can fix that. Another issue it has is you can see all these items getting into the bottom chest, but some items are also ending up in the top chests. And again, this is something I think I can fix. You'll get a little bit more glass and I'll fix that right up. Better. Now pumpkins are going in there. Melons are going in there. It's going to take them a second to feed down from the upper levels, but everything filters down to the bottom chest first, and nothing's going to get caught falling out of the bubble column because I have full glass box there. Now, while I'm here, I should take a moment to appreciate this trade hall and how it's coming along here. So there's librarians here that sell Silk Touch, Unbreaking 3, Mending, Fortune 3. Look at all this good stuff. Which is good because, yeah, I have a Silk Touch pick at this point, but it's only efficiency 4 and it's worn down to a nub. I'd love to be able to get Mending for it. A Fortune 2 pick, which I can improve to Fortune 3, thanks to the librarians. And a decent sword, but again, and my shovel's just about worn out. I could use some books from these guys. And these guys have been turned into zombies and cured, so they are selling cheap. I'll take all of your mending, sir. Efficiency 5? How much for efficiency 5, my good sir? 1 emerald. Awesome. And now if anybody needs levels, just take 9 stacks of the melon slices, convert that into 1 stack of melons. And then a stack of pumpkins. I love trading with villagers for experience. It's a quick, easy way to get levels. I feel much better about doing that than selling iron ingots to various villagers that I could use for other things. Oh, this guy sells bookshelves too. And glass, thank you. I love that. I do love that this villager trading hall exists. I definitely want to take advantage of it going forward. I'm still thinking I'd like to make my own pumpkin and melon farm, but I can take care of that later. Well, that was a job well done. Now I'm just going to make another farm just like this at my home base. And I need to work on finishing with the upgrades to my armor and my weapons and my tools, so that next time, maybe I'll take on the End Dragon. Or maybe I'll build a bee farm. I don't know. What do you think I should do next time? Anyway, I want to give a special thanks and shout out to Dig and Truths, who made this trade hall, and CP Technocraft and Cat Beanie and Baddrabbit, who, you know, when I was low on materials or I needed materials to help with this build, they were quick to help me get that stuff. They are among a number of other people on this realm. They're all content creators like me. They make videos, they do live streams. Anyway, they make some cool stuff and you should probably check them out. and get a different perspective on things, maybe. You could even see someone building this trade hall and working on it. But links to their channels are in the description below, along with a link to the Divergent Discord, so make sure to check that out. And see if next time I make a bee farm or raid the end. It'll be one of those two, I'm not really sure which. Next time Amon chooses Divergence SMP.